BlackRock are the world's largest asset manager, with over $10 trillion in assets under management, and they are the largest owner in 64% of the S&P 500 companies. This means that BlackRock owns more shares than any other investor in 64% of the companies in the S&P 500. That includes the likes of Microsoft and Google's parent company Alphabet. Today I'm delving deep into a topic that's been capturing headlines and sparking debates: the extent of BlackRock's impact on the global stage. There's a widespread belief that BlackRock controls the world.
How much, Joe, have you looked at, Larry Fink, Soros, State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock? How much have you looked at what they're doing and what their ties are?
I've looked at it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They're pretty much running everything.
But let's unravel the truth from the hype. This is the story of BlackRock. Segment 1. Understanding BlackRock's foundations. Alright, let's rewind the tape to the very beginning. The birth of BlackRock in 1988. It was Larry Fink who lit the spark, along with a crew of visionaries like Robert Kapito, Susan Wagner, Barbara Novick, Ben Golub, Hugh Frater, Ralph Schlossstein, and Keith Anderson. The name BlackRock? Well, it's a combo of black, think the night sky's vastness, and rock, a symbol of strength. Fink's idea birthed the Aladdin platform in '98. No, not that Aladdin, but it was a game changer which used data to transform how investments were decided. Unlike the typical investment banks, BlackRock had a different gig: managing assets. Boy, did it skyrocket. From a $5 million venture to an $8 billion powerhouse in just 5 years, all thanks to Fink's mojo. Teamwork and diverse expertise were the secret sauce. Aladdin's impact solidified BlackRock as a major player, but calling it the ruler of the world economy? Now that's too simple. Getting the lowdown on BlackRock's roots is key to figuring out its role on the global financial stage. Segment 2. The web of holdings and influence. Alright, imagine BlackRock as this intricate mosaic. It's made up of powerful threads of influence and responsibility, a tale that's anything but straightforward. At its heart, BlackRock's sway springs from its slice of the pie in major corporations. Think tech bigwigs like Google and Facebook, and the established players in finance and energy. BlackRock's reach spans across industries, showcasing its muscle in the financial game. But it's not a story of dominance, it's one of partnership and guardianship. BlackRock isn't just sitting on shares, it's in the ring, spurring companies towards better practices. It's like a dance, with BlackRock leading the way. Now brace yourself. BlackRock uses its muscles through votes in those shareholder meetings. Armed with big chunks of various companies, it can shape big calls, like who's running the show, or mega deals. But, hold up, those votes mirror what its clients want, not just its own whims. No doubt, BlackRock packs a punch, especially when it aligns with other bigwigs. But it's not a solo act, it's more like an ensemble. BlackRock's influence on companies' decisions is hefty, but it's no iron fist. It's shaped by lots of things: the mix of stuff it invests in, how it interacts with companies, and how the whole corporate game is played. BlackRock doesn't stand alone, it's part of a grander dance. Their influence is a combo of owning, guiding, and being part of the team. Segment 3. Influence versus direct control. You know that thin line between sway and total domination? That's where BlackRock's role as a big shot investor comes into play. BlackRock's ownership stake gives them some serious say in the companies they're in. Their size and smarts lets them hop into discussions about what a company's doing, how they're run, and the long game. But hold your horses, business moves aren't made solo. A company's destiny is shaped by more than just one big shot. Companies aren't just juggling investors like BlackRock. They've got a whole mix of folks to please: workers, customers, and a bunch of other money people. BlackRock's influence mingles with all these voices, making sure decisions match up with everyone's goals. Influence isn't as simple as an on-off switch. It's more like a dimmer switch. Yeah, BlackRock's got clout, but they're not the puppet master. Decisions come from all angles, So remember, things aren't black and white in the world of influence. It's all shades of grey. And understanding this is key to breaking down the myth of ultimate control. Segment 4. The complexity of the global economy. Imagine the global economy as a gigantic puzzle where every piece affects the others. Markets, trade, and all the behind-the-scenes stuff are all intertwined, creating a whirlwind of complexity. And guess what? BlackRock's influence dances with this intricate maze. Yep, it's true. BlackRock holds a ton of sway, as we said before. But again, hold on. The idea that one big player has total control over the whole world economy, well, that's a bit too simple. Again, there are tons of moving parts. Central banks moves, government actions, global events, they all play a part. BlackRock's knack for managing risk does help keep things steady, but saying that they're a sole puppet master is like missing the forest for the trees. Segment 5. BlackRock and the ESG conundrum. Let's talk about how BlackRock handles this whole ESG thing. Environmental, social, and governance. It's a tricky road filled with a few bumps and potholes. BlackRock's been shouting from the rooftops about ESG, and that's shifted how companies think. Suddenly, being green and responsible matters. But here's the curveball. Along with the good stuff, there's been some greenwashing. Basically, companies talking the talk, but not walking the walk. This makes us wonder how clear things really are. BlackRock's in a tight spot too. They talk ESG, but they're still big players in industries not exactly known for being eco-friendly. It's like they're trying to balance profits and ethics. They've nudged companies in a better direction, but change doesn't happen overnight. It's like taking baby steps with a few wobbles along the way, all because different folks have different ideas. So, BlackRock's doing their ESG dance, which isn't easy. They're trying to be good guys, but they're also not letting go of the big bucks. So, it's a bumpy ride, but it is, I guess, towards a better place. Segment 6. The perception game. Picture this. BlackRock's influence, like a mirror reflecting all sorts of opinions. Some folks see them as change makers, while others raise eyebrows at their mixed messages. Public relations are like the puppeteers here, shaping how people see BlackRock. They shout about responsible stuff and ESG, which sounds great, but then there's the investment part that might raise an eyebrow. BlackRock's into the whole responsible investment trend, riding the wave of folks caring about the planet. It's a positive story they're telling, yet not everyone's convinced. Some point out the investments that don't quite match their responsible image. Walking the line between profit and doing good isn't easy, and BlackRock knows it. Navigating this perception tightrope means keeping that balance while still being seen as someone who's pushing for change. Segment 7. Navigating concerns and solutions. Taking a closer look at BlackRock's influence opens up a world of important questions that needs our attention. One big concern is how much financial power firms like BlackRock hold. It's a bit worrying when we think about things like fair markets, healthy competition, and whether there may be any not-so-friendly practices going on. What makes it even trickier is that BlackRock wears two hats. It talks about responsible investing, but it's also a player in industries that come with ethical question marks. This makes us wonder how much accountability they should have, and how they can balance making money with doing right. Then there's a whole mystery about how they do their investing. It's not exactly crystal clear how they make all those moves, which can make us wonder about how open the market really is. And speaking of influence, when you've got big investment firms like BlackRock calling the shots, it kind of makes you think about whether we should know more about what they're up to. All this talk about firms like BlackRock being major players also shines a light on whether our rules might have gaps. Making sure we've got rules and checks in places seems pretty important so that things stay on the up and up. But enough about problems, let's chat solutions. Maybe putting some stricter rules on how much influence they can have, and making sure they're crystal clear about how they do things could help with those concerns. And getting everyone in on the conversation, investors, regulators, and communities, could make the whole investment process more balanced and well-rounded. And hey, you know what else might make a difference? Companies being more responsible. If they really take things like environmental, social, and government stuff seriously, it could make a huge impact. And big investment firms like BlackRock they could be the cheerleader for this kind of change. Oh, and education too. Letting everyone know what ethical investing is all about could empower folks to make smart choices. That means holding companies and investment firms like BlackRock are accountable when they're not playing by the rules. So wrapping it up, tackling these worries tied to BlackRock's influence needs a mix of actions, tightening the rules, getting everyone in on the conversation, and pushing for responsible practices, which could help level the playing field. By looking at these issues head on and coming up with solutions, we can shape a future where big financial power goes hand in hand with doing what's right. Segment 8, conclusion and key takeaways. Now that we've delved into the depths of BlackRock's influence, let's wrap up with some big takeaways that help us piece it all together. BlackRock's impact isn't just about owning stuff. It's a dance of stewardship, engagement, and pushing for better practices. The fact that they hold a lot of shares and engage with companies shapes what decisions get made and how markets move. The tug of war between profits and ethics is like the heartbeat of the story. BlackRock wants to do good, but it also is a part of industry that doesn't always play nice. The balance is trickier than it seems. Remember, the global economy is like this giant puzzle where everything's connected. BlackRock's influence is one thread in this massive tapestry, so don't fall for the oversimplification. How people see BlackRock matters a lot. Their PR, the good stuff they talk about, and even the investments they make shape how folks view them. There are some big concerns we've touched on, like too much power in one place, staying ethical, being open about what they're up to, and keeping an eye on the rules. Fixing these worries means tougher rules, getting everyone talking, making sure investments are responsible, and teaching folks about ethical investment. Now, the big idea here, BlackRock's influence isn't a solo act. It's more like a puzzle where lots of pieces fit together. They do change things, steer markets, and make companies think. But thinking they've got total, absolute control? No, that's a too easy answer. So bottom line, getting what BlackRock's all about needs seeing all the angles. It's a mix of stuff: money, ethics, rules, and society. It's like knowing the whole recipe before you cook up a storm. So, I don't think it controls the global economy, but it certainly has a major influence, and there needs to be controls put in place. So who could do it? Thanks for joining me today on this journey, and if you've enjoyed this insight-packed ride, show your love by giving that like a tap, subscribing to my channel, and sharing your thoughts and suggestions of future videos down in the comments. The story continues.